that means that the physical world can't be the whole story. That means that there must be something more. There must be some kind of stuff that's not physical stuff. There must be a soul. There must be something made of ectoplasm or something. That is completely unhelpful, that reaction. It makes no progress with the basic question. The reason it doesn't is, suppose you take it seriously, what that view is dualism. Dualism, from the Latin due, what is it from? Meaning two kinds of stuff, right? It means you've got two kinds of stuff. You've got mental stuff and you've got physical stuff. So physics is incomplete. Physics tells you about the stuff that's made of atoms, but there's another kind of stuff that's not made of atoms. That's what dualism says, right? So you've got physical stuff and you've got some other kind of stuff, ectoplasm, that's made of something different. Now, the truth is, if that turned out to be right, then physicists would be delighted. Physicists would say, that's fantastic. Let's look at the characteristics of ectoplasm. Yeah? I mean, it would be like dark energy or dark matter or something. They would say, that's great, right? Let's figure out what this stuff is and how it works. That would be just more grist to the scientific mill if there was another kind of stuff than matter. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any of you ever read The Amber Spyglass, Philip Pullman? No? Okay, very good one. Okay, they're aimed at 12-year-olds. I am a big fan. They're just wonderful. Is there any good? Yes? Right. But anyway, the thing about The Amber Spyglass is that, this is kind of a spoiler, but it's not much of a spoiler. In The Amber Spyglass, it turns out that there is a kind of stuff that's responsible for consciousness, a kind of golden dust, and you can see it through the amber spyglass. And maybe that stuff is not governed by regular physical laws. Maybe there is a kind of, and who knows, that might be true. Maybe there is a kind of golden dust. But the trouble is, suppose there is a kind of golden dust that's not the regular atomic stuff, then the question is still, how does that work? How does that generate consciousness? How could you have an imaginative understanding of the golden dust when you couldn't have an imaginative understanding of something only in terms of atoms? I mean, it's just as puzzling. You've got exactly the same problems when you talk about golden dust or ectoplasm or whatever it is as you had when you talked about physics. Only it's a lot more obscure, because the truth is you have no idea what you're talking about when you talk about ectoplasm or souls or golden dust or whatever it is. You don't make any progress by talking about two kinds of stuff or saying there's a kind of stuff that's not physical stuff. We have to stick with the brain. There it is. The neurophysiologist Susan Greenfield, who spent her life studying how the brain works, said that what got her into studying the brain was that somehow when you look at that kind of squidgy mass, 3 pounds in weight or so, when you look at that, it's all there. And what she meant was your world, your subjective world, all the colors, lights, tastes, people's memories, plans, dreams, is somehow all there. And how can that be? That is the basic puzzle. And it doesn't help to say, well, it's actually not a real, it's not a brain like that. It's made of golden dust or it's made of ectoplasm. That just substitutes a bunch of stuff you don't really know what sense it makes, and gives you a problem that anyway, if you did make sense of it, would be just as hard. Whatever we're made of is some kind of stuff. And the question is, how can that be sustaining a mind? And here's just an analogy you might think of. Suppose you get some, this is just saying what's wrong with saying there's more to the world than the physical world. What makes the problem so difficult is that there is only the physical world. But somehow the mind is there. How can that be? And if you say, well, there's two kinds of stuff, well, suppose you had some intelligent Martians who landed on Earth and they find TVs. You guys still have television sets, right? That's I never know. Okay, you know what it is anyway. Right, okay. So they're looking at TVs and they're thinking, boy, Martian physics tells us a lot about how this works, but what we don't understand is how you're getting those colors on the screen. And maybe they have lots of puzzles. Maybe they have competitions where people try to solve this. Martians try to solve this. And then someone says, I've got it. I know how those colored images are getting up on the screen. They say, there are actually two kinds of stuff. There's the ordinary physical electrical stuff, but there is also a special TV stuff. And TV stuff just automatically generates colored images. That's the answer. That's why it seemed so hard. We were trying to address this in terms of ordinary electricity and physics. But of course, once you realize it, now of course, that is not a good answer. You might get a career out of that kind of answer. You might be able to write a popular books among the Martian population based on that kind of idea. But it is obviously not a good answer because you haven't explained anything at all. You've got the same problems you had before. I mean, what is TV stuff? How does that work? And you still have no idea how to answer them. All you've done is make the problem more obscure. You've only postponed the problems. What is this stuff? How is it making these things? And how is it related to physical stuff? So postulating a separate kind of TV stuff wouldn't help. And similarly, postulating a separate kind of mental stuff doesn't help. We have to there is a real hard problem here. How is the mental life that is the most important single thing for any of us? How is that connected to the physical world that is all that is there? We've got to work with the physical world that is really there and explain how that connects to the mind. Okay, so Wednesday, try and read Thomas Nagel's What It's Like to Be a Bat. After that, but don't go away, not so fast. Don't start shuffling papers. In a second, the GSIs will just take over, and you really must get into a section if you possibly can. Okay, I hope I've left enough time for that. And incidentally, I know we're kind of packed today, but that will not last. There will be plenty of spaces before long, I promise you. Okay.